In this experiment, you'll react sodium hypochlorite, the active ingredient in bleach, with sodium thiosulfate, the active ingredient in a fixer solution that was used to process photographic film, that is, the physical film that we used before we used digital optical sensors in cameras. Now, your goal in this experiment is to identify the stoichiometric ratio between the hypochlorite and the thiosulfate in the reaction. The reaction is exothermic, so we can use the temperature change as a measure of how much reaction took place. We can then vary the amounts of the two reactants, keeping the total volume constant so that the heat capacity of the entire system is constant, and identify the mixture that produces the maximum temperature change. In other words, the maximum amount of reaction that occurs. So you're going to then plot the temperature change as a function of the volume of one of the reactants. In this case, I've chosen sodium hypochlorite. You're going to have three different regimes. You're going to have the maximum temperature value, and that point we're going to set aside. You're then going to have points with higher volumes than that, and points with lower volumes than that. You're going to separate these two into two different sets of data so that we can plot two trend lines. One involving the volumes higher than, but not including, the maximum temperature change, and volumes, a different set of data, with volumes lower than and not including that maximum temperature change. Now, in reality, the procedure tells you to collect at least 4 data points on each set. My recommendation is to collect a data point that's fairly close to that maximum value. So I've shown it here with a fairly sizable spread between the maximum value and the two that are closest to it. But in reality, you'd probably want to get fairly close to it with your other values so that you have as much data as possible. You definitely want to include those close data points, but not the maximum, in your calculations for those trend lines. So let's talk safety. Again, the sodium hypochlorite solution is bleach, which is corrosive to human tissue. It will also obviously stain your clothing. So any spills should be cleaned up immediately. If any touches your skin, you should wash the affected area immediately.